It is now 7:06. You have exactly 8 hours and 54 minutes to think about why you're here. All right, people, we're going to try something a little different today. We are going to write an essay.
The Breakfast Club isn't just a movie, it's a teenage rebellion captured on film with secrets that will blow your mind. Behind those iconic detention scenes lies a web of ego clashes, accidental moments, and one particularly shocking fact at number 8 that will change how you see the entire film forever. Buckle up, because these 10 weird facts about the movie that defined a generation are about to get seriously strange. On our countdown at number 1, we have the most authentic high school setting you've never heard of. Forget fancy Hollywood magic. The Breakfast Club was filmed inside a completely abandoned high school that felt like a teenage ghost town. Maine North High School in Des Plaines, Illinois, had recently shut down due to low attendance, leaving behind empty hallways that echoed with the silence of forgotten adolescence. But here's where it gets really weird. The iconic library where all the emotional drama unfolds wasn't even a real library. The production crew had to construct a massive library set inside the school's gymnasium because the actual library was too small and uninspiring for John Hughes's vision. So when you watch Bender swagger across those tables or see Claire staring at her nails, they're all performing inside a gym pretending to be a library. And if that wasn't strange enough, parts of the building were simultaneously being used for police training exercises during off hours. That means the cast was sharing their emotional space with actual SWAT teams practicing maneuvers in other parts of the building. Coming in at number 2, prepare yourself for a casting swap that almost destroyed the movie's entire dynamic. Emilio Estevez was originally cast to play the bad boy John Bender. Yes, Coach Bombay himself was supposed to be the chain-smoking rebel in the trench coat. But there was a massive problem brewing that nearly derailed everything. The casting directors couldn't find anyone else who could convincingly portray the jock Andrew Clark. Hughes needed someone with the physical presence of an athlete, but the emotional range to show vulnerability beneath that tough exterior. Actor after actor auditioned, but nobody clicked. Meanwhile, Estevez had the athletic build and the ability to nail Andrew's complex emotional journey. In a last-minute panic, they swapped Estevez into the wrestler role and desperately searched for a new Bender. Enter Judd Nelson, an unknown actor whose audition was so raw and confrontational that it made everyone in the room genuinely uncomfortable. That discomfort? It was exactly what they needed. Imagine the Breakfast Club with Estevez growling about flare guns. It just wouldn't have the same rebellious edge. At number 3, things get seriously uncomfortable because Judd Nelson didn't just play John Bender. He became him, and it nearly got him fired. From day 1, Nelson stayed in character, even when cameras stopped rolling. He sneered at crew members, deliberately provoked his co-stars, and pushed everyone's buttons to keep the tension authentic. But his method acting crossed a dangerous line when Molly Ringwald's real-life mother visited the set. Nelson, still in full Bender mode, reportedly made rude comments that rattled her so badly she marched straight to studio executives to complain. John Hughes was absolutely furious and seriously considered firing Nelson mid-production. The rest of the cast actually defended Nelson, arguing that his obnoxious dedication was giving the film its raw, edgy power. Hughes reluctantly let him stay, but the two never worked together again. Ironically, Nelson's genuinely irritating behavior was exactly what made Bender so believable. That simmering hostility wasn't just acting, it was real. Number 4 brings us to a moment that was never supposed to exist. The iconic dance scene, you know, the wonderfully weird montage where each character cuts loose in their own bizarre way, was completely improvised and never appeared in the original script. During filming, Hughes noticed the cast goofing around between takes, blasting music in the gym and dancing like nobody was watching. He loved the spontaneous teenage energy and asked them to recreate it for the cameras. But not everyone was thrilled with this sudden creative pivot. Judd Nelson reportedly hated the idea, calling it cheesy and completely out of character for the brooding Bender. He even tried to sit the entire scene out. Hughes had to compromise, which is why Bender's dance is noticeably more subdued and shot mostly in silhouette. What started as random between takes fooling around became one of the film's most memorable and cathartic moments. Sliding into number 5, we uncover how The Breakfast Club was originally written as something much darker and more disturbing. The early drafts dug deep into trauma, abuse, and isolation, with plot lines that were cut for being too intense even by 1980s standards. In one version, Bender's physical abuse by his father wasn't just implied, but explicitly shown. Claire's storyline included scenes hinting at disordered eating, while Allison was portrayed as possibly dealing with suicidal thoughts. Brian's academic pressure led to a complete mental health breakdown without any humor to soften the blow. Studio executives got nervous, wanting a movie that teens could relate to without spiraling into depression. Hughes was forced to tone down the script, rewrite scenes, and remove the most troubling elements. What we got was more balanced, but traces of that darker version still remain if you know where to look, especially in Bender's visible scars and Allison's haunting silence. Hey, film fanatics! If these behind-the-scenes secrets are blowing your mind, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're just getting started and number 8 is going to absolutely shock you. For number 6, we're diving into a directing decision that almost never happens in Hollywood. The Breakfast Club was filmed in chronological order, meaning scene 1 was shot first and the final scene was shot last. This is extremely rare because it's expensive and time-consuming, but Hughes insisted on it for a brilliant reason. He wanted the emotional evolution to be completely authentic. The cast started as near strangers in real life, just like their characters, and gradually bonded, argued, and opened up over the actual filming process. You can literally watch this happen on screen. The awkward body language in early scenes slowly melts into genuine closeness by the end. This method helped the actors stay emotionally synchronized with their characters' development. Each moment built naturally on the last without forcing feelings out of order. It's partly why the performances feel so incredibly natural, because they were experiencing the emotional journey alongside their characters in real time. Lucky number 7 reveals a hidden family cameo that flew completely under the radar. Anthony Michael Hall didn't show up to set alone. His real-life mother and sister actually appear in the film, adding an authentic layer to Brian's character that most viewers never notice. In the opening scene where students are being dropped off at school, Brian's mom is scolding him about his future from the front seat. That woman isn't a hired actress. That's Hall's actual mother, Mercedes Hall. The girl sitting next to her, giving Brian a sideways look. That's his real little sister, Mary Christian. John Hughes loved blurring the line between reality and fiction, feeling that using Hall's genuine family would ground Brian's character and make him more relatable. The awkward, nagging parent energy wasn't performed. It was completely authentic. This small touch shows how much thought Hughes put into even the quietest character moments. Now we've reached number 8, and this one will absolutely shock you, because The Breakfast Club was almost never released due to one controversial scene that nearly got the entire movie canceled. When Bender crawls under the library table and looks up Claire's skirt, the MPAA went absolutely ballistic and threatened to kill the film's release. The ratings board was ready to slap the movie with an R rating, which would have completely destroyed its reach among teenagers, the very audience it was made for. This wasn't just about limiting ticket sales. An R rating would have meant the movie couldn't be shown in many theaters and would be banned from most high schools entirely. John Hughes had to fight tooth and nail to save his film, arguing that the scene revealed Bender's immaturity and discomfort with intimacy rather than glorifying inappropriate behavior. The studio was forced to make strategic cuts and edits to tone down the moment just enough to secure a PG-13 rating. Without those last-minute changes, The Breakfast Club would have been buried before it ever reached the audience that made it legendary. Number 9 brings a vocal twist that most fans never realize. The voice reading that famous final letter isn't actually Anthony Michael Hall's, even though Brian writes it. It's Judd Nelson. Bender's voice delivering those iconic closing lines about seeing them as they want to be seen. This wasn't an accident, but a deliberate choice by Hughes. He felt Bender, as the group's most emotionally complicated and defiant character, deserved the last word. Hearing Bender's sarcastic but oddly poetic voice completely changes the tone, casting a rebellious shadow over the entire message. It transforms the ending from a neat summary of their growth into a subtle middle finger to the system that tried to box them in. Many viewers never notice the switch, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It reframes the entire conclusion and gives Bender the final emotional upper hand. Finally, at number 10, we end with the most iconic moment that happened completely by accident. That final shot of Bender walking across the football field, raising his fist triumphantly to the sky as "Don't You Forget About Me" plays. None of it was in the original script. Bender was supposed to simply walk off into the distance with no music, no gesture, and no freeze frame. But during one of the final takes, Judd Nelson spontaneously threw up his fist while still deep in character. Half defiant, half triumphant. John Hughes immediately knew they'd captured something special. The decision to freeze frame on that image came later in editing when Hughes realized it was the perfect punctuation mark for the entire film. That simple improvised gesture became the symbol of teenage rebellion and one of cinema's most recognizable endings. It was unplanned, unscripted, and absolutely legendary. The Breakfast Club proves that the most memorable movies often come from the most unexpected moments. Improvised dances, accidental endings, and real family cameos that blur the line between fiction and reality. These weird behind-the-scenes facts show that sometimes the best filmmaking happens when you throw out the rule book and let authentic emotions drive the story. Which of these facts shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're hungry for more surprising movie secrets, smash that like button and subscribe for deep dives into the films that shaped our culture.